Hello students, welcome to this session. In this session we'll be looking at two small topics, expressions and type conversions. Okay, so talking about expressions, anything which returns a value is known as an expression. Okay, now what are the things in Java that can return you a value? See, first and foremost, a literal value, a literal itself is a value, isn't it? For example, if this 6 here, this 6 is an integer literal, this 2.5, it's a double literal. Okay, so any kind of literal, it is the value itself. Okay, so we can consider it as an expression. Okay, then we have variables. Okay, for example, this a here will give you the value 6, isn't it? A is storing 6, so when you use a here, it will give you the value 6. Okay, so variables also give you a value. That means you can call it an expression. Okay, then operators. See, this, for example, this plus operator will act upon the two operands, that is a and 8, okay, which are variables and literals respectively. So this plus operator will act upon those two operands and give you a final value, that is 14. Okay, so this plus also plays an important role in expressions. Not only plus, any kind of arithmetic operator, or it could be relational operators as well. Or it could be any kind of operator. Okay, it gives you some value. If it gives you some value, that means it is an expression. And then finally we have method calls. Okay, for example, I am calling number1 function here. So this number1 function will return us a value. Let's check out the definition of number1 function here. Okay, it is returning us the value of 18. Okay, so whenever the function is called, whenever number1 function is called, it will return some value. In this example it is 18. Okay, that means functions are also capable of returning some values. Okay, and we'll touch this chapter in detail when we discuss functions chapter. Okay, so number1 will be replaced by 18. Okay, so you can see here that a function call is also giving us a value. That means it can be called as an expression, right? Then similarly we have got number2 here. So when number2 function is called, control will come here and the function will execute all the statements inside the function. And in this example we just have a single statement, that is return 2.15. so finally 2.15 will come here and replace this function call. Okay, so method calls also gives you a value. Okay, so it can be called as an expression. Now when you combine all these or any two of these as per the requirement, it becomes a complex expression. Okay, so whenever an expression is part of another expression, that is called complex expression. Okay, so that's it about expressions. And let's see the output for this, so that you can analyze this by yourself. So I'm calling the main function here. So this is the output. Okay, you can analyze this program by yourself, and if there is any doubt, you can let me know. Okay, let's talk about the next topic. Sorry, I need to explain a few more points regarding expressions. See, those expressions which consists of integers only, like for example 5, 6, 8, these are known as integer expressions. Those expressions which consists of real numbers only, they are known as real expressions, and those expressions which consists of both integer and real numbers are known as mixed expression. Simple, right? Then we have already seen string expressions. Okay, but I'll quickly go through the program here. So S1 is storing the star, and in this statement S1 plus, so this plus will act as a joining operator or concatenation operator, and it will join the value of S1, that is the star, to is shining brightly. So the string will become the star is shining brightly, and that final value will get stored in S2, that is the star is shining brightly. Okay, similarly here we have got 45, that is an integer, and here we have got a string ABC. So you know that strings and integers cannot be added, right? So this 45 will also be converted into a string. Okay, it will be converted into a string internally, and then this will be joined with ABC. Okay, so the final value will be 45 ABC. So these are known as string expressions, and then we have Boolean expressions. So those expressions which consists of relational operators as well as arithmetic operators are known as Boolean expressions. Okay, so Boolean expressions will either give you true or false, and I'll not explain this program because we have already discussed this relational operators while discussing the relational operators section. So you can what you can do is you can send me the output for this particular program. Okay, so it will print the values of D, E, F and G. So you have to send me what will be the output through your Campus Care app. Okay, so that's it about expressions. Hello students, welcome to today's session. In this session we'll be discussing the concept of type conversion. So what is type conversion? When one type of data is converted to another type of data, that is known as type conversion. This conversion can happen in two ways. One is implicitly and the other one is explicitly. See, implicit means automatic, and it will be done by the compiler itself, and explicit means the programmer has to do typecasting. Okay, so we'll see these concepts in detail, but to start with, let's look at this diagram. So I've got two containers here, container A and container B. Container A can hold 5 liters of liquid and container B can hold 20 liters of liquid. So when I try to pour the contents of container A into container B, it's not a problem, it will be done very easily. Okay, all the whole 5 liters of liquid will easily be transferred into the 20 liter container. Okay, So there is no problem in this, but what will happen if we try to pour the liquid of container B into container A? So what will happen? So 5 liters of liquid will be transferred from container B to container A, and the rest 15 liters will get wasted, okay, because it will not fit into container A. So now compare this example with the data types present in Java. So I've written all the primitive data types here in increasing order of their range, okay. Notice the word I am using, I am talking about range and I am not talking about number of bits, okay. We are not talking about the number of bits that is used by these different data types. We are talking about the range, okay. So for example, byte can hold, what is the range of byte? It can hold -128 to +127. Between these two numbers it can hold any, it can store any number, okay. Similarly, all the data types have their different ranges, okay. So the arrangement here is done in increasing order of their ranges. Now, so when you so the byte is byte has got the smallest range, right? So automatically, if you try to store a byte type of data into short, int, long, float and double, it can be easily done, okay. And I'm ignoring char here, okay, because char is a bit different than the other data types, because char cannot store negative, it's unsigned, okay, it cannot store negative number, whereas all the other data types can store negative numbers as well. So that's why I'm ignoring char here, okay. So if you see below byte, that is short, int, long, float and double, all these data types, they have greater range than byte. Therefore you can easily assign a byte type of data to all these different types, okay. So a byte can be converted to any of these data types. So as you can see here in the example program, I have created a byte type of variable called B and I have stored 25 in it, okay. Now when I try to assign B into S, which is of short type, it's not causing any problem, okay. Similarly, I can assign B into an int type of variable, I can assign B into a long type of variable, I can assign B into a float and double type of variable, isn't it? So this will not cause any problem, and if we compile this, you can see that it's not showing any error. And this process is known as upgradation, okay, or widening. It is known as widening conversion, okay. It's known as widening or implicit conversion, okay. Why is it known as widening? Because you see that byte is smaller than all these data types, but when it is assigned to, when the byte is assigned to an integer, it becomes an integer. When it is assigned to a long, it becomes long. So its range is widening, isn't it? So it's upgrading. Therefore it's known as widening conversion, and because it happens automatically via the compiler, it's also known as implicit conversion, okay. So always remember that small, whenever you try to assign a smaller data type to a larger data type, that means widening is happening, widening conversion is happening, and it's happening implicitly. Okay. Similarly, short, okay, short can be assigned into int, long, float and double, okay, but it cannot be assigned to byte, okay, it cannot be assigned to byte because byte is smaller than short. Similarly, character can be assigned to int, long, float and double, okay. Then int can be assigned to long, float and double, long can be assigned to float and double, okay, and float can be upgraded to double, okay. So remember that we are talking about implicit conversions, okay. When we talk about explicit conversion, we'll see that there is a way to downgrade the values. That means how we can assign a larger data type into a smaller data type, okay. So that is possible, but there will be some loss of data, okay. Just like when you try to pour the contents of 20 liters of liquid into a 5-liter container, there will be loss of the content, okay. So similarly, when the explicit conversion is done, that is downgrading, that means assigning a larger data to a smaller data type. So let's look at an example. So this was the example for implicit conversion, okay. Let's look at one more example for implicit conversion. When I say int a is equal to 12, let's say, and then I write double b is equal to a into a, okay. So I am just calculating the square, or no need to calculate the square also, I am just assigning it into a double variable, okay. So this is what, this is upgradation, isn't it? Integer, a smaller data type is being upgraded to double. So implicit conversion will happen, right? Let's print the value of b and see what is the output. So as you can see, the value of b is being printed as 12.0, but what does a store? It does not store 12, right? It stores, it does not store 12.0, it stores only 12. But when you assign the value of a to b, it is automatically upgraded to a double value, that is 12.0. So this is implicit conversion, widening conversion, okay. Let's talk about explicit conversion, okay. So this time, let's say we create a float type of variable, okay, and we assign some number to it, let's say 12.56, and then we create another variable of int type which is smaller than float. So we have created variable I and its type is int, and now what I will try to do is I will assign the value of f, variable f, to the variable I. So when I try to do this, you can see that it will show me an error, and the error is again incompatible types. Okay, that means we are trying to assign a larger value into a smaller variable. Okay, I is integer is smaller than float. So we are trying to assign a larger value into a smaller variable, and hence we are getting this error. So now what we can do is we can convert this particular float value which is stored in f. Okay, we can convert it into the required data type, and the required data type is int, right? So within brackets, within a pair of parentheses, okay, open parenthesis and close parenthesis, we have to write the target data type. Okay, the target data type. What is the target data type? This is our target data type. Okay, int. So whatever data type is there present on the left side of the assignment operator, okay, that we can call it as our target data type. So in this case it is int, so I'll write int here. So what this will do is that it will convert whatever value is stored in this variable f, okay, and it will convert it into int. Now notice that when we convert the value, what is the value of f? That it's 12.56, right? So it will get this particular value from f, it will get this particular value from f, okay, and the value is 12.56. So this 12.56 will be truncated into an integer, okay, but by doing this f will not be affected itself. It does not mean that f will lose its original value. Okay, f cannot lose its value until any assignment is done. Okay, so there is no assignment being done here to f. Okay, the assignment is being done to I, not f. So when we change this change the value of f into an integer, it will not affect the original value of f will remain 12.56. okay, but here in this case it will be 12.56 will be converted into 12. Okay, and this shows us that there is data loss. So 12.56 will be converted into 12. Let's look at the output. If I print the value of I here, we should get 12. So as you can see, students, the value of I is being printed as 12. Okay, but at the same time, if we print the value of f, the value of f will remain as it was. Okay, that is 12.56. so let's recompile and see the output. So as you can see, there is no change in the original value of variable f. Okay, the only thing that was done here was that the value of f was taken, and that particular value only was transferred into an integer. Okay, and that integer got stored in the variable I. So that is the reason why when we print the value of I, we are getting as 12 and not 12.56. Now let us see another example. Let's say I create a variable of type double, and I assign 9 by 2, okay, 9 divided by 2. So what do you think the value should be? The value that will get stored in D, will it be 4.5? Will it be 4.5, or will it be 4.0, or will it be 4? You can pause the video and think for a moment. So if your answer is 4.0, you are correct. So let's see how. First of all, let's print the value of D here. So as you can see, the value of D is showing as 4.0. So what happened here? 9 divided by 2 is actually 4.5, but since both the numbers are integers, okay, since both the operands are integers, the result will also be integer, okay. This concept is explained a little while later, so when you watch that portion of the video, you will be more clear with it. But for now, understand that integer, since both the operands are integers, the result will also be an integer, okay. So when you divide 9 by 2, the integer part is 4, okay. So now this is an integer, and when you try to assign an integer into a variable which is of larger type, larger than int, okay, automatically it will be widened, right? It is known as implicit conversion, which we studied earlier, okay. So this 4 will be converted into double. So now the value of 4 will become 4.0, and 4.0 is stored in the variable D. But if you want the actual division, okay, the actual value of 9 divided by 2, you need to change one of the operands to either float or double, okay. So there are two ways of doing it, okay. One is simply write this 9.0, okay, or you can change the other operand as 2.0, or you can change both the operands into double like this, 9.0 divided by 2.0. So if I compile this, you can see that the output is 4.5 and not 4.0. And even if you just turn one of the operands into double, okay, still it will work correctly. So as you can see, the output is 4.5 again. One operand is an integer and the other one is a double, okay. So the largest data type is double, okay. We are talking about the operands here, that is 9 and 2.0. 9 is an integer, 2.0 is a double. Since the largest data type between these two operands is double type, therefore all the operands will be converted into double, okay. So 2.0 is already a double and 9 will also be converted into double, and now the answer should be of double type because it's double divided by double, okay. So this is one way of doing it, okay. Another way of doing it can be, you can typecast it, okay. So we need to typecast, right? So what is the syntax for typecasting? Within parenthesis you have to write the target data type. So the target data type is double, okay. So when I do this and compile, so let's see the output. The output is coming as 4.5. So this is known as explicit conversion, okay. So students, let's look at this example, okay. I've got an expression here. So this is the expression, and we'll see step by step how the data types are getting promoted. So in step number 1, the division will happen, okay, because you know the rule of precedence and associativity. So division will happen first. So for the division operator, one of the data is byte and the second operand is an integer. So the larger among the two is integer, so the output, so the byte will also be converted into an integer, and the final result will be integer. Then in step number 2, multiplication will happen between S and L. So between S and L, the larger type is long, so S will also be converted into long, okay. S is of short type, so S will be converted into long type, okay. When I say S is converted, I mean to say its value, okay. The value which is held by S will be converted to long, and the final result will also be a long, okay. Then in step number 3, the multiplication will happen between F and D, okay. So F is of float type, so it will be promoted to double, okay. That means the final result will be double. So now we are left with a character, an integer, a long and a double, okay. So in step number 4, this addition will happen, and one of the operand is a character and the second operand is an int. So the character will be converted into an integer and the final result will be an integer. Then in step number 5, one of the operands is integer and the second operand is long, so the final result will be long. Then in the last step, we have got one operand as long and the second operand as double, and the operator is minus, okay. So this long will also be converted into double, so the final result that will come out will be a double value, okay, and that double value will get assigned into this result variable. So you can see that how this expression gets solved. So that is it, students. We'll stop here. Thank you.